Hello, I'm Matt. I'm an actor. I've worked in television, film, and theatre, and also done some motion capture, things like that. And today I'm just going to talk you through how to produce a self-tape. Um, and I'll go through what a self-tape is, why they're important, and then I'll talk you through what equipment you need, how to set that up, how to frame it properly, how to light it correctly, and other considerations such as a little bit of script work and character work. But I won't labour those points very much because today it'll just be primarily about the self-tape itself. But I will talk you through just a couple of things to consider when you first get the script. I think the easiest way to do this will be to talk you through what I do from sort of start of the process, from the start of the process, which is basically me receiving the request to put myself on tape for a job, for a casting, for a telly or a film, say. That's receiving the casting information, the character breakdown, what the project is, the type of project, and etc. And any sort of touching on the script work, like I say, and then how I set up to frame to produce the self tape itself, and that'll include so depending on the character, what I wear and things like that. How best to sort of set it up to frame it, and just some pointers around that. So first things first, what is a self tape? A self tape is basically a recording that somebody takes of themselves, an actor takes of themselves performing some material for an audition, say some script for a telly or a film, and they record themselves doing that as opposed to being put on tape by a casting director in a traditional face-to-face audition. So that's it. Simple. That's a self-tape. Okay, so why are self-tapes important? Well, they're really important because they're already massively part of the audition process. Already they are. So you can be put on tape for many different kinds of jobs, like from a pantomime to a play to a television to a film, even to a motion capture project. And all of these things would mean your performance is slightly different, obviously, for each kind of self-tape that you do, but they're already used quite a lot. And to be honest, I can only see them being used even more, becoming more central to the casting process because they are efficient. Technology is incredible now to be filming on your phone, and you can send that in very easily. And also, they're the safest way of seeing lots of different actors. And in these uncertain times, I think this is something, like I say, we're going to have to get used to. So I think the self-tape is very important. So yeah, and also this could be the first time that the casting director sees you, sees your work, sees you on screen. So again, it's really important that you make a good impression. So you want to know the kind of do's and don'ts of producing a good self-tape. So that's obviously what we're going to try and discuss. So before I get to the equipment that you need and how to set it up, I just think it's just easier to talk about the self-tape from the sort of beginning, that is receiving the casting information, and then go through it in the sequence until like the end of when you've got the end product and you've submitted your self-tape. And how to submit it, because actually the amount of information that you'll have in the video, it will be too large to email. So even just down to how you submit it as well. I think it's easier to start from the very beginning. So that is receiving the casting information, the character breakdown, the script, etc. So first things first, find out exactly what it is that you're up for. And what I mean by that, I know that sounds really obvious, but what kind of project it is that you're wanting to be involved in. Because that makes a massive difference to how you perform. It will really inform how you're meant to perform the material. So for example, if you are up for a gritty drama, say like This Is England or Ozark, it's on Netflix, fantastic. If you haven't seen it, I really recommend it. Then the performances that you'll give in that are very naturalistic. So again, that will really determine how you perform the material. Where if you're up for something that's quite light-hearted, say like a comedy that's filmed in front of a live studio audience, say something like Birds of a Feather, then that's going to be quite a light, slightly heightened performance style. So that will really dictate to you how you should perform your material. So find out exactly what it is that you're up for. If the character breakdown, the casting breakdown, should I say, will have, normally, just with me anyway, it will have who the producer is, who the director is. Again, if they try and Google them, find out who they are, what else have they been involved in, what kind of work have they produced in the past. And again, this might give you some clues as to what you're up for, and again, how to perform the material that you've been sent. If it's an ongoing drama or an ongoing teleprogram, say like Shameless or Misfits or something like that, then you can, again, look at the project that you're involved in, because again, it will inform how you should perform the material. So find out exactly what you're up for, what style of project it is that you're up for. Any questions, go back to your agent, email them, or to the casting director. Anything that you've got any queries about, find out exactly. So obviously you're as informed as you can be, and obviously the more information you have, the better you can be. The more you can adjust and give them what they want from you. So that is first things first. Find out exactly what you're up for and get as much information as you can, because this is massively going to inform how you perform the material. Right, so you found out exactly what it is that you're up for, and now it's time to work on the script. Again, I'm not going to labour this point very much. I'm not going to stay on the text work, the text analysis so much, because this tutorial is about producing a self-tape, not necessarily the script work and how to do that so much, because that in itself is a whole different sort of tutorial. But I just want to mention some things that I just think are useful to consider when working on the script. I just think it's a good thing to think about. And there's a couple of things that are over here. I've written them down because I want to remember them. So what's the scene? What's going on? What's literally happening? What's the character? Who are they? What do they do? What's their status, their socio-economic position? What's happened before the scene? What is the character's knowledge regarding the events before the scene? Who else is in the scene with the character? Who is the character interacting with? What is the character's relationship to the other characters in the scene? What does the character want, and how are they going to get it? So again, these are just useful questions because the answers are going to inform your performance. So for example, if you are in the scene interacting with your best friend, the character's best friend, and you're in, say, like a pub, and it's light and it's banterous, and I don't know, they haven't seen each other for a long time, there's nothing untoward going on, they're going to act very differently to how they would, say, if they were interacting with and in the scene with a police officer or two. It's going to be very different, and that police officer is not their friend. They're in an interview room. Again, that's going to inform how you perform the material. Equally, if you're in an interview room and you are a suspect, you're going to feel differently. You're going to interact differently than you would if you were a victim giving evidence. Equally, so when I say what is their status, what is their socioeconomic position, things like that. If they are of high status, they are a person of means, they have a fortune, or even just comfortable, they're going to act very differently to someone who doesn't have very much. They are of low status, low economic means. It's even your physicality will change dependent on such things. So I just think it's really important to just go through a few of those things. Again, I'm not going to labor on it too much, but it's good to think about these things because it's going to lift and inform your character so much, what it does for me. So the next thing really is, should you learn the script or not? And to be honest, so often the casting director asks for you to be off book, which basically means off the script. learn the material. But that's not always the case. But it did happen more often than not for me, to be honest. But yeah, so you don't always have to learn the script. You don't always have to be off book. But for me personally, even if I'm not asked and I do have the time, I'm going to learn the script. Because as you just saw, if I have to keep looking down like so in order to speak to you, in order to interact with someone, say they're over here. Well, actually, here's probably a better eye line. Say someone's here and then I'm speaking to them, but I don't know my line and I have to keep looking down to get it. It's nowhere near as compelling as being able to just speak and you know your lines and it's here. You can interact and you can see my expressions. You can see into my eyes. It's just less distracting for me to not be doing that. It's far better to be able to just interact and not have to keep looking down at the script. However, if you do, because of the room that I'm in, I'll show you this in a little bit, my laptop is far too low. I'll never have it so low. So for example, if I was here reading the script and I wasn't off book, I have my script up here. So if I am doing that, the eye line is going down. So it's out of camera. So this is where my script would be, say for example, but underneath, so out of frame, but higher. So when I do look down, it's far less distracting than really having to get down and find those words in the script. So like I say, for me personally, I would choose to learn the script. You aren't always asked, but very often you are. Yeah, it's less distracting. It's less distracting and you can just engage with the person you'll be reading opposite during the scene. Right, okay, what equipment do we need to do a self-tape? We need a camera, and cameras on mobile phones are completely sufficient. They're amazing. So I'm filming this on my camera. And to be honest, this is like the background and everything. This is kind of how I would set up for a self-tape. So yeah, so you need a camera. You need something to attach your camera to a tripod. You need a tripod. That's it. So I think the easiest way for me to show you this now is to film on another phone in order for you to see how I've set this up, as in what equipment I've got, which is a tripod, a grip that attaches my phone to the tripod, and that's it. That, like, I'll show you also that I have a DSLR camera, which is better film. It produces better film. It's better, really. But I'll show you the difference as well, actually, later in the tutorial. But I'll show you just so you can see it. And I've also got a separate mic that comes with that. Now, it wasn't that expensive, actually. The camera was, so you don't need that. But I'll just show it just in case you have one already. And the mic that I have, which wasn't that expensive and it was better. But you need a mobile phone, something to attach the mobile phone to a tripod and a tripod. I'm just going to swap cameras now so you can see how I've set that up. Right, so here we are filming on my wife's phone. That's my camera. As you can see, it's set up horizontally. And that's the grip. It's universal in the sense of that you can see the little knob here. You can lift it or close it down depending on the size of your phone. Got that from Amazon. The tripod, simple tripod. It doesn't have to be too sturdy, obviously, because the weight of the mobile phone is not so much. We're not in the 1980s. And it just means that that particular one wasn't that expensive. I do have a better tripod now, which I will be putting the DSLR on, which is this one. And sorry that I'm slightly more on the move with this, but with that camera. And again, I'll show you some footage from that, just so you can see the difference. This is the Rode mic that you use, and it's just better than the mic that comes with the DSLR camera. Yeah, it does make a difference, to be honest. And look, this is where my laptop was. You can see why that eye line was so massive on the screen. I've also got a light. Sorry about this being so bright for a second. Oh. Yeah, and that's again because I'm filming here. That's
kind of where I'm filming next. It's a big, nice, clean, clear backdrop behind me, and you've got the natural light from the window there. Right, so I've shown you the equipment. I'm just going to come back to my phone that I'm filming on.
Right, so you've got the equipment for the self-tape, and you've kind of seen how to set it up, but I'll go through that in a second. You also need someone to read in with you. And it's okay, they don't need to be Dame Judi Dench or John Gielgud. They don't even need to be an actor at all. It doesn't matter. They're off screen. It's about you, the person in front of the camera, not the person off camera. It doesn't matter. As long as they can read, we're all good. Honestly, I've been in casting directors with people reading in with me, very, very flat, very monotone, not giving me anything at all. But it's okay. You've made your choices. You made your decisions, and you give your performance, regardless as to what they're giving you. It doesn't matter what they're giving you. I've also been in, by the way, in castings with people reading in with me, where they were amazing. I was intimidated reading in, but they were reading in so well. But yeah, so it really doesn't matter. As long as they can read, we're all good. Right, so you've seen the setup from the filming that I did with my beautiful wife's phone. So yeah, but I'll just talk you through it anyway. So the phone is in landscape when it's attached to your tripod. To be honest, with the grip that attaches the phone to the tripod, you can only have it in landscape, horizontally anyway. So you couldn't have it vertically, but I'm just saying it's in landscape. Yes, and then what else? So yeah, the framing of the shot is about this kind of distance. So you want your shoulders, head in the shot. You don't want it to be a full body unless asked for that. Say if you were doing a singing audition or you were doing something for a motion capture. For example, when I was in the film Tarzan, and I play Tarzan's gorilla brother, meant to be a big, massive gorilla. And for that, obviously, they need to see physicality. So that's something that your whole body needs to be in the frame. But for this particular one, head and shoulders, face. You don't want to look as I am right now, because I'm speaking to you in this tutorial, directly at the camera. No, you're going to be looking slightly off center, just off the lens. And again here, whichever side you go for, but not too far again. So if I'm too far here, for me, it's all about the cheek. You don't want it to be all about the cheek at all. There's nothing wrong with the cheek, but it's not about the cheek. It's about the camera, the lens being able to see into your eyes. I've got to say, this is one of the things that I really learned from one of my first tellies that I did. Because for me, I learned a lot from seeing my performances on the tellies that I did. So I would do a telly and then look back and sort of, at first I would hate seeing it. I hated seeing myself on screen. But I thought, well, look, this is my job. This is what I'm going to do. I got the job. They obviously like me. So let's see in a more objective way, and not too self-critical way, what worked about that and what didn't work about my performance. And the things that really worked for me, I thought, was making sure the camera could see into your eyes. There's so much characterization there. There's so much going on, where if I was playing a particular scene, I was meant to be in pain and I was looking down. And I was kind of talking in pain and stuff like that. And as soon as I looked up and I was here, like the amount of life that was in my eyes. So again, I can't see here exactly where my eye line should be. So I might look back at this and think, oh, actually, I'm looking a bit too far away, I'm a bit too central. But again, look at this. And that's what you're aiming for the camera to see into your eyes, but you're not looking directly at the lens. Because like I say, so much characterization is there, and so much of it is lost. If I'm here in pain, it's so much better there. You can see so much more. So yeah, so eye line, shoulders, you want light. Again, so you've seen that I've got that very bright light up there. But that's because, to be deadly honest, I'm filming in a smaller room than I would ordinarily film in. So basically, I'm filming in the room in the house that is the quietest. It's the furthest away from our neighbours. We live in a semi-detached house, and we have loud neighbours at times. So this is a space that I can control the sound a little bit more. But when I did a self-tape, I actually did it downstairs. And again, I might show you the difference just so you can see later on in the tutorial. But yeah, this is fine, but it means this room has got a smallish window, but it's cool. All you want is natural light, really. Ordinarily, the self-tapes I've done have been with natural light. It's more than good enough, but in this particular room, because the light is just coming from one source like that, and it's quite a sort of small window, so it feels quite focused. It was just casting some shadows. Doesn't matter, it's a small detail, but it just meant by bringing that light in there, it didn't sort of, like I say, this side of the face. It wasn't like I was in the Phantom of the Opera and one side of my face was hidden from the shadows that it was casting on that side of my face. It meant that that light was just then taking away those shadows, really. So that's why I'm using that. But in a room that's lit really well, with a window that's not as small as this and not as focused, I'm sure you can sort of work your way to not having so much shadows and stuff like I did, and you might not need the light. But again, you could use a lamp and things like that. Play around with that, see which works best for you. Right, so now you've got to think about what you're going to wear. I know that might seem a little strange, but no, it does make a difference what you wear. So for me, typically I will wear something quite plain, and for me, something dark like this, because I'm quite pale, so it helps my face to stand out. If I wear something quite pale, it'll just wash me out a little bit. So yeah, I'll show you the difference so you can see what I mean. So just explore that, see what works best for you. Also, for me, I dress in line with what I think the character might wear for what I'm going up for. And I don't mean wear a costume. Don't be going for that. It's not that you want to, I don't know, you don't want to look like you're in a costume. You don't want that, but it's just to help the casting director to imagine you in that role. Just lean them that way. Just help them to see you being that character. So, say for example, if I'm up for a ruffian, a ne'er-do-well, a gang member, leader of some gang, which is what I was up for in Vera. I actually wore something like this. It was like a black t-shirt. It could even have been this t-shirt, but yeah, so something kind of plain and strong, and I did the scene. But you can dress accordingly just to help, like I say, just to help the casting director envisage you playing that part. And I think the easiest way to show you that is just to show you the difference. So something like this, for me, is if I was wearing, if I was up for a character who's kind of urban, street gang member or something like that. And for me, because it just helps envisage me as that. I don't think I need it, actually, to be honest. In the black t-shirt, I think I look pretty much like a ne'er-do-well, but like a ruffian. But this, I think, suggests that more than this. This, to me, suggests a different kind of character. I don't know. Just, to me, it won't immediately bring to mind the kind of character that I think I'm up for. For me, maybe it's just about the way I feel about that myself. If I'm in something like this, I wouldn't feel that way myself. I wouldn't feel like that would match the character that I'm up for. So yeah, that I'd go for something either plain or something that suggests that character. And again, it might just be for my own sort of confidence. It might be that it just puts me in line of that particular character as well. Because I've been in plays before where, again, if you're wearing, say, like a very fitted sort of suit, top hat and things like that, it changes your physicality straight away. So even if for something like this, it just, for me, it makes me feel slightly different. And that kind of top that I wore before feels a bit urban to me. But like I say, I wore the black t-shirt anyway. But again, I'll show you the difference. Say if I was up for something that was maybe like a lawyer or a banker, I'd wear maybe like a shirt, tie, suit jacket or something like that. I'll just show you the difference of that. So yeah, if I was up for a banker or a lawyer, I might sort of dress a little smarter. And again, it's not that I don't want to look like I'm in a costume, but I just want to help the casting director to see me in that role. And again, it helps me with my posture, with my physicality, to embody the role, literally. But yeah, so I think it just looks obviously a little smarter, helps them see me as that. So yeah, again, play around with this. You've got to do what you think is right for you, what you think you look better in, feel better in. and yeah, have fun. See which works best for you. Right, so we're nearly there. What are the benefits of a self-tape? So the benefits of a self-tape are the fact that you can set up how you want to set up. You can do as many takes as you like. There's no pressure. You don't have to perform in the audition, which for some people you might be a bit nervous. So you don't have that. You've got time. You can set it up how you want, and there's far less pressure really, because you can do as many takes as you like. However, that can also be a bit of a negative, because then you might be tempted to do all the takes in the world until you get it perfect. And if you're aiming for perfect, you're going to be there all day. And like I say, for me, I'm like that. I find fault very easily. So I could be there all day. But for my last self-tape, I actually did it in one take. I read the scene. I did all the scene work. I had the beats in the scene where I wanted to work, what I wanted to aim for, where there was shifts and changes through of the character's emotions and thoughts, all of those things. I was happy. I did it. I didn't fluff my words. Yeah, I was happy with it after a take, and that isn't always the case, obviously. But that particular one, it was a take. I didn't want to do it so much because, like I say, for me personally, I'm never going to be like happy with it. I'm always going to find fault. I'm going to, it's very, very easy for me to find fault, especially with my own performance. I'm very tough on myself. So that can also be a bit of a sort of curse. The fact that you're able to do loads of takes instead of having to sort of perform, get it right, like in one or two sort of takes in the casting. But again, another sort of thing that is a bit of a drawback to a self-tape, I suppose, is the fact that you don't get that immediate feedback that you do get in the room. So if you've got an instinct about a character, how you think, how you see the character, and how you might perform them, how you kind of pitched the character, you may be right, but there may be some tweaks that they want to make, that obviously you don't get the chance to perform it, and then they tell you to make those adjustments, which then you can in the room. Or you might have got a slightly different take on the character, which isn't a bad thing. They can give you the notes, and you can make that adjustment in the room, so it's fine. But you don't get that choice. You don't get that chance really to get the feedback. So you'll go with what your instincts are, and that's what I do. I go with what I think the character is, what instinctively makes sense to me. But then what I'll also do is maybe offer up another take that's slightly different, just to show that I'm not wedded to that particular performance, and also that there is variation. I can change that up. It isn't necessarily that's the only way I can do it. So I would recommend maybe offering up a different way if another way kind of makes sense to you, So we're kind of there now at producing your self-tape. What I would recommend is practicing. What's really great about this is that right now you have, hopefully, get your equipment, practice some scenes, practice some script work, and look at a couple of things that I've talked about in this tutorial and sort of see which works for you, what works best for you. See what you look like on screen. See when you work on the script. Like I say, for me, it's very easy to see what's wrong with my performance, what's wrong with me, with my face, all of those things, with my voice, all of that I'm going to pick fault with. What's a lot harder to do is to find the things that work, that you do like. It's really tricky, but find the things that you go, yeah, that works. Okay, improve on that. Why did it work? Why did the other things not work? And again, be critical in a way that's productive, as in like something, if you can change it, then great. Don't just be like, oh, I hate my nose, I hate it, oh, whatever, that I can't change that. Or you could spend a lot of money. I'm not going to do it. So, but like work on the things, make the adjustments that you can. Be kind to yourself, be compassionate, have fun, and practice. See what works, what doesn't work, and grow in confidence. So by the time you're at the position where someone gets in touch with you, a casting director or your agent, to put yourself on tape, you're confident. You know what you're doing. It's not the first time that you're doing it. But, I don't know what to do. Practice and have fun. Right, so this is the camera too close, as we can see, far too close. And this is a little too far away. Also, you're starting to get the radiator into shot, which is not the end of the world, but it doesn't look as clean. But yeah, this is too far away. This is obviously far too low. But again, I'm just showing you the difference. If I was talking to someone there or talking to someone there in your eye line, it's just a slightly odd angle. So again, it's obviously in your eye line, but again, I'll just show you what it looks like it was too high. So this particular tripod doesn't go as high as I would like, and it looks like it's just off, sort of, it's not level. But again, it's just more about showing you the level that it looks like. It looks odd that that sort of eye line coming down like that looks very strange. So again, I was just showing you just so you can see that. Right, so this is now the same setup with the tripod and the grip and the same mobile phone, but in a different room, the room that I would choose, because I just think the lighting is so much better, and as a result I think it looks so much better. So yeah, I'm in the lounge, nice large windows, and just using natural light. So yeah, because I was filming the rest of the tutorial in a room with a smaller window and I had to use light, it just didn't look as good. So now you can see the difference, how much of a difference lighting makes, good and bad lighting. So yeah, for me personally, I'd go with natural light. So now I'm going to show you what it looks like on the DSLR, just so you can see the difference. So I've got the camera in front of me, and the external mic is linked via a longish cable. And again, I just thought I'd show you so you can see the difference. You don't need to do it on a DSLR. A mobile phone is plenty good enough. But I just thought I'd show you the difference, just so you can see it. This is what I used for my self-tape when I got the telegig in Vera, where it was just on a self-tape. The entire casting process was, I was asked to go in for an audition. I couldn't, so I self-taped instead. And from that self-tape, I got the audition, and it was from this camera. So I thought it'd be good for you to see the difference, if you can see it, if there is one. For me, when I look at the quality of this camera, the footage that it produces, for me, it is better personally. Yeah, and also this is the lighting that I would go for. This is more, this is the natural lights, far bigger windows. It's far better lighting, I think. But I just thought I'd show you, again, the difference. This is how I would set up. This is the kind of lighting I'd go for, even though there is more of a shadow here. Yeah, I don't know. I still like it. I think this is it looks better for me personally. But again, you can sort of trial and error workshop these things yourself and see which works best for you. Yeah. So just another note on the for the volume, basically for the person reading in with you. Yeah, they basically, well, a couple of things, right? So volume first, because they're standing very close to the camera and to the mic, they're going to be louder than you. And I did this with a friend. It seems obvious when you say it, but it wasn't for me at the time. And I was reading in for a friend who was doing a self-tape, and it was great self-tape as well. But I didn't think about my volume. I didn't adjust it. I didn't speak slightly quieter, because I was obviously, like I say, closer to the mic. And because of that, it ended up with me being far too loud compared to the person whose self-tape it was. So it was a bit distracting. So yeah, just have the person, the very kind volunteer who will be reading in with you, have them speak just a little quieter. And again, watch it back and see what you think, see what the levels should be. Also, where they're standing, they want to stand in a place that's good for your eye line. So you don't want to match up your eye line to them. They need to match up where they stand to your eye line, so it gets the best for you. Do you know what I mean? So they'll probably be quite close to the mic. Might feel like depending, obviously trial and error this again. It might feel a little close to the camera for them, but it's all about where your eye line works best for you for the shot. Yeah, and I recommend, when you think you found it, maybe swap positions. Have them sit where you're sitting, where the person who is doing the self-tape will be sitting. And again, so you can view the footage, so you can see the screen and see if that is the eye line, whether you think that's the correct positioning, and then adjust if not and stuff. But if it's fine, then great, go for it. What else? There's two things. Yes, don't have any edits in your self-tape. It should be one continuous take. So unlike this video where I'm sort of doing sections and then sort of editing them together. When it's just a tape, there will be no edit at all. It's just one clean take. That's what you'll be sending. That's what you'll be submitting. And when you submit it, like I said earlier, the file will be too large to send on an email normally. So you'll need to use, I use something called WeTransfer. And it's just wetransfer.com. It's free. You can use it. I think you can transfer up to 2 gigs at a time for free, no charge. And it's great. It's safe. That's what I use for mine. So yeah, this is how it looks on the DSLR. I thought the next thing to do would be to show you the self-tape that I used to get the job, a telly job, just so you can see it, so you can see one in practice kind of thing. And yeah, all the best with it. Enjoy, have fun, be kind to yourself, and practice. See what works, what doesn't work, why, and have fun. Thank you.
We found a trace in your vehicle. We can place it in ambles 3 days ago.
I was up there visiting a girlfriend.
Kaylee Marling, a vulnerable girl you grew in for sex.
She's a junkie. Nothing she says would ever stand up in court.
I think you were visiting Declan Price, another vulnerable adult you threatened.
Never seen him before.
You supplied him with heroin, laced with a lethal amount of fentanyl. The rat we recovered from the murder scene was sourced to a flat on the Ferrybridge estate.
Nothing to do with me.
Designer clothes, pricey watches. As left in a hurry, we're satisfied the money you used to buy those items was earned through dealing drugs. Your vehicle was also in ambush 6 nights ago. Night Jaden Lennon was murdered. Bit of a coincidence, don't you think?
No comment.
We've had a statement from his brother, Jasper Lennon. He told us Jaden had been stealing money from you. That why you killed him.
No comment.
Also, based on that statement, you're further under arrest on the charge of trafficking a minor.
Trafficking?
We get you for drugs. That'd almost be a badge of honour. Grooming kids doesn't go down too well in prison. You look at it 25 years. You want to see this straight away, man? Oh, I think it might be a bit longer than that. We found traces of blood in that vehicle. Skin cells, DNA. Enough evidence to nail you for Jaden Lennon's murder.